I lost $286,000 buying a condominium in Bangkok. That's 7.2 million baht at the exchange rate when I signed the papers. For a teacher's pension, that's everything. That's 37 years of standing in front of classrooms explaining Shakespeare and grammar. That's every dollar I'd saved, every sacrifice I'd made, every hope I had for my retirement, gone. But you have to understand it wasn't supposed to be like this. I'm not some reckless gambler. I'm not one of those guys who blows his savings on bar girls and beer. I did my research. I read the forums. I talked to lawyers. I compared prices per square meter across 3 different districts. I had spreadsheets. I had a plan. The problem is, I had a plan for buying property. I didn't have a plan for falling in love with someone who saw that property as something entirely different than I did. My name doesn't matter. What matters is that I'm 62 years old, I'm Canadian, and I taught English literature in Edmonton for almost 4 decades. I wasn't wealthy. Teachers in Alberta make decent money, but not spectacular money. But I was careful. I drove the same Honda Civic for 16 years. I brought my lunch to school in a plastic container every single day. I didn't take fancy vacations. I invested in RRSPs religiously. By the time I retired at 60, I had $420,000 in savings and a pension that would pay me $3,200 a month for life. In Edmonton, that's comfortable but not extravagant. In Thailand, I thought it would make me rich. I first visited Thailand in 2019. A colleague of mine, Graham, had retired there 2 years earlier. He kept posting photos on Facebook, beaches, temples, street food, this gorgeous modern apartment overlooking the river. His pension went 3 times further, he said. He had a maid. He ate out every night. He traveled around Southeast Asia like it was nothing. I was divorced. My ex-wife had remarried. My daughter was living in Vancouver with her own family. I'd go months without seeing her. Edmonton winters were getting harder on my knees, my back. I'd wake up in my small house, shovel the driveway in -30 weather, and think, what am I doing this for? So I booked a ticket. 2 weeks in Thailand, January 2020. Graham met me at the airport. I remember stepping outside Suvarnabhumi Airport and feeling that wall of heat hit me. It was like opening an oven door. But it wasn't unpleasant. It was alive. The smells, incense, street food, exhaust, flowers all mixing together. The chaos of taxis and tuk-tuks and people shouting in Thai. Graham laughed at my face. "You'll get used to it," he said. "Give it 3 days and you'll never want to leave." He was right. Graham lived in On Nut, eastern Bangkok. His condo was on the 24th floor, 2 bedrooms, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, marble floors, modern kitchen, gym and pool in the building. He paid 18,000 baht a month rent. That's about $720 Canadian. In Edmonton, you couldn't rent a basement suite for that. You could buy a place like this for $150,000. Graham told me over beer on his balcony that first night, "Own it outright. Your pension would cover all your living expenses, and you'd still have money left over to travel." I did the math in my head. If I bought a condo for $150,000, I'd still have $270,000 in savings. My pension would cover rent, food, utilities, health insurance, everything. I could live like a king and never touch my principal, but I didn't want to rush into anything. I'm not that kind of person, so I spent those 2 weeks exploring. Graham took me around Sukhumvit, Silom, Ari, even out to Ayutthaya for a day trip to see the temples. I ate pad thai from street carts for 40 baht. I got hour-long massages for 300 baht. I took the BTS everywhere, clean and efficient and air-conditioned, 30 baht a ride. Everything was cheap. Everything was easy. Everyone smiled. On my 10th day, Graham took me to a small bar in Thong Lo. It wasn't a girly bar, I need to be clear about that. It was a proper restaurant bar, nice place, lots of Thai professionals and expats mixed together. We sat at the bar and ordered food. That's where I met Sasi. She was the bartender. 26 years old, from Udon Thani province up in Isan. She'd moved to Bangkok 3 years earlier, working her way up from waitress to bartender. Her English was good, not perfect, but good. Better than my Thai, which was non-existent. She had this way of smiling that made you feel like you were the only person in the room. When she brought our food, she asked where I was from. Canada, I said. Oh, very cold, she laughed. You like Thailand better? I said yes. Much better. You visit or you stay? She asked. Just visiting, I said. For now. She smiled at that. Maybe you come back? I don't know what it was. She wasn't the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen. But there was something about her, this warmth, this genuine interest. She asked about my job, my family. She told me about her family. Her mother and younger brother back in Udon Thani. She was saving money to help them, she said. Her father had died when she was 15. I came back to that bar 3 more times before I left Thailand. Each time, Sasi and I talked more. On the last night, she gave me her line ID. You message me when you home safe, she said. I did. And we kept messaging. This was January 2020, right before COVID hit. By March, the whole world had shut down. I was stuck in Edmonton, locked in my house, watching the snow fall and messaging Sasi every day. She sent me photos of Bangkok during lockdown, empty streets, closed restaurants. She'd lost her job at the bar. She was doing delivery work on a motorbike to make money. I sent her $500. Just to help, I told her. Just until things got better. She cried on a video call. Actually cried. You are very good man, she said. Thai men never help like this. People think that's when I should have known, when I should have seen what was happening. But you have to understand she didn't ask for that money. I offered, and $500 Canadian was nothing to me. It was 2 weeks of groceries. For her, it was 2 months of rent. It felt good to help. It felt good to be needed. We video called every day during COVID. Morning for me, evening for her. She'd show me her small apartment, cook Thai food on camera and try to teach me the names of ingredients. I'd show her my house, the snow, my bookshelves full of novels. We talked about everything, her childhood in Isan, my failed marriage, what we wanted from life. I want to have small business someday, she told me once. Maybe coffee shop, maybe small restaurant, but need money to start. What about a boyfriend? I asked. Thai guy to help you? She made a face. Thai men no good. They go with many girls. They drink too much. They never save money. She looked at me through the screen. Farang men better. More serious. More kind. I knew what this was. I wasn't stupid. She was 26. I was 60. She was beautiful. I was not. But I also knew that relationships worked differently in Thailand. Age gaps were normal. Cross-cultural relationships were normal. And besides, we got along. We laughed at the same things. She was smart, ambitious, hard-working. By the time the borders reopened in late 2021, we'd been talking for almost 2 years. I booked a ticket immediately. Graham warned me. We met for coffee before I left Edmonton. Just be careful, he said. I'm not saying Sasi is scamming you. I'm just saying, be smart. Don't buy anything in her name. Don't loan money to her family. Don't make promises you can't keep. I told him I knew what I was doing. I told him Sasi was different. I told him age was just a number. He gave me this look, not judgmental, just sad, like he'd seen this before. Okay, he said. Just remember I'm here if you need anything. When I landed at Suvarnabhumi in November 2021, Sasi was waiting at arrivals. She'd made a sign with my name on it, decorated with little hearts. She looked exactly like her photos, better, even. She wore a yellow dress and smiled so wide when she saw me. We hugged. It was the first time we'd touched in person. She smelled like jasmine. Welcome home, she said. Those 2 words, welcome home. Like Thailand was already my home. Like she was already my home. We took a taxi to the hotel I'd booked in Sukhumvit. I'd gotten a nice place, $80 a night, because I wanted to impress her. In the taxi, she held my hand. Her hand was small and soft. At a red light, she leaned over and kissed my cheek. "I'm so happy you here," she said. I was happy too. Happier than I'd been in years. Maybe happier than I'd ever been. Those first 2 weeks were perfect. We ate at restaurants, visited temples, took a weekend trip to Hua Hin. Sasi took me to meet her friends, other girls from Izan working in Bangkok. They seemed nice, friendly. They asked about Canada, about the cold, about my pension. Normal questions. Sasi stayed with me at the hotel most nights. I need to be honest about that. We slept together. It felt natural, not transactional. She didn't ask for money. She didn't hint at wanting gifts. She just seemed happy to be with me. 3 weeks into the trip, we were having dinner at a small restaurant near my hotel. Sasi was quiet, picking at her pad crapo. "What's wrong?" I asked. She shook her head. "Nothing. I just thinking." "Thinking about what?" She looked up at me. "You go back to Canada soon. I don't want you to go." "I don't want to go either," I said. "Then don't," she said. She reached across the table and took my hand. "Stay here, with me." "I can't just stay forever," I said. "I'd need a visa. You can get retirement visa," she said. "You are 60. You have pension. Easy." I'd looked into this already. Thailand had a retirement visa for people over 50. You needed 800,000 baht in a Thai bank account, about $32,000 Canadian, or proof of monthly income over 65,000 baht, about $2,600. My pension was $3,200 a month. I qualified easily. "Where would I live?" I asked. "You can rent condo," she said. "Or maybe we buy condo together." My heart jumped. "Together?" She nodded. "I have small savings. You have more. We combine. We buy nice place. Good investment. Better than rent." This was it. This was the moment. I can see that now. Looking back, this was when I should have said no. This was when I should have slowed down. But I didn't want to slow down. I was 60 years old. I'd spent my whole life being careful, being smart, being practical. Where had it gotten me? Divorced, lonely, shoveling snow in Edmonton. "Let's look at some places," I said. Sasi's face lit up. She squeezed my hand so tight. "Really? You serious?" "I'm serious," I said. The next day, Sasi had already contacted a real estate agent. "A friend of a friend," she said. "Thai woman, very professional. We met her at a condo building in Ekkamai, about 20 minutes from central Bangkok. The building was beautiful, modern, clean, good security. The unit was on the 18th floor, 2 bedrooms, 85 square meters, big balcony overlooking the city. The agent said it was 5.8 million baht. That's about $230,000 Canadian. "Good price," Sasi said. "This area very expensive normally." I walked through the unit. The kitchen was new. The bathroom had a rain shower. The bedrooms were spacious. I did the math in my head. If I put down $200,000, I'd still have $220,000 in savings left. The condo fees were 3,500 baht a month, about $140. No rent to pay. My pension would more than cover all my living expenses. "What do you think?" Sasi asked. "It's nice," I said, "but it's a lot of money." The agent spoke up. "Good investment, sir. Property in this area go up every year. You can sell in 5 years, make profit," Sasi added, "and we can live here together, make it our home." I looked at her. She was smiling, hopeful. She really seemed excited about this, about us. "I need to think about it," I said. That night, I called Graham. I told him about the condo, the price, Sasi's suggestion to buy together. There was a long pause on the line. "How long have you known her in person?" he asked. 3 weeks. "And you're thinking of buying property together?" "It's a good investment," I said. I could hear how defensive I sounded. "The price is fair. I've checked comparable units in the area." "That's not what I'm worried about," Graham said. "Look, I'm sure Sasi is great, but Are you going to put the condo in both names? I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. You can't, he said, legally. Foreigners can own condos in Thailand, but only up to 49% of the units in any building. You can own it in your name, but she can't be a co-owner unless she's the majority owner. And if she's the majority owner, then I don't really own it, I finished. Exactly. I felt my stomach tighten. So what do people do? Usually, the Farang owns the condo in their name. If they're married, they sign a prenup saying the condo is the foreigner's separate property. But you're not married. We could get married, I said. Another long pause. Listen, Graham said carefully. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, but maybe slow down. Rent a place for 6 months. See how things go. If it works out, great. Buy a condo later. You've got time. I don't want to throw money away on rent, I said. You won't be throwing it away. You'll be buying information. You'll be learning who Sasi really is over time. I knew he was right. I did. But I also felt this urgency, this fear that if I didn't commit, I'd lose her, that she'd think I didn't trust her, that she'd find some other guy who would buy the condo with her. I'll think about it, I told Graham. I didn't think about it. Not really. The next day, I told Sasi I wanted to move forward. Her face exploded into joy. She hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. We need to be smart about this, I said. The condo should be in my name, legally, since I'm the foreigner. Her smile faded slightly. But we buy together should be both our names. I know, but legally it has to be my name. But I'll put you on the... I didn't even know what to call it. I'll make sure you're protected. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Okay, I trust you. Looking back, I wonder if that was the test. If I'd insisted on buying it myself, keeping her name off everything, would she have walked away? Would that have been the end of it? I'll never know. We moved quickly after that. I opened a Thai bank account and transferred $200,000 Canadian, about 5 million baht. The bank manager, a woman named Sutita, walked me through everything. When I told her I was buying a condo, she nodded approvingly. Good investment, sir. You buy in your name only? Yes, I said. Sasi was sitting next to me, but I didn't mention her. Smart, Sutita said. She gave me this look just for a second like she was trying to tell me something, but then she smiled and processed the transfer. The purchase process took 3 weeks. Lawyer, title search, contract signing. I paid for everything, the condo, the legal fees, the furniture. Sasi contributed 200,000 baht, about $8,000 Canadian, toward furniture. She was very proud of that contribution. On the day we got the keys, January 15th, 2022, we stood on the balcony together looking out at Bangkok. Sasi had her arm around my waist. Our home, she said. Our home, I repeated. I was 60 years old. I owned a beautiful condo in Bangkok. I had a young, beautiful girlfriend. My pension covered all my expenses. I'd done it. I'd escaped the Canadian winter. I'd built the retirement life everyone dreams about. For 4 months, it was paradise. We settled into a routine. I'd wake up around 7 a.m. old teacher habits and make coffee. Sasi would sleep until 10. We'd have late breakfast together. Then I'd read or explore the neighborhood while she worked. She'd picked up some online work, customer service for a Thai company, a few hours a day from the condo. We'd have dinner together every night. Sometimes we'd cook, sometimes we'd go out. Bangkok had incredible food, Japanese, Italian, Indian, everything all cheap compared to Canada. We'd spend $30 and eat like royalty. On weekends, we'd explore Chatuchak Market, the Grand Palace, day trips to Kanchanaburi, Pattaya, Ayutthaya. I was living the life I'd seen on Graham's Facebook. Sasi seemed happy. She'd introduce me to her friends as her Farang boyfriend. She'd hold my hand in public. She'd post photos of us on her Instagram with heart emojis. But there were small things. Little things that I noticed but didn't think much about at the time. She was always on her phone. Like, constantly. She'd say it was work messages, or her friends, or her mother, and maybe it was. But she'd take calls in the other room, speaking rapid Thai that I couldn't follow. Money started coming up more often. Not directly, she never asked me for cash, but she'd mention that her mother needed medicine, or her brother's motorbike had broken down, or her friend was starting a small business and looking for investors. I'd give her money. Not huge amounts. $200 here, $500 there. It seemed like nothing that was groceries for 2 weeks back in Canada. Here, it was a month's rent for her mother. "You are so good to my family," she'd say, hugging me. "They love you so much." In April, about 3 months after we'd bought the condo, Sasi's mother came to visit from Udon Thani. Sasi was so excited. She cleaned the entire condo, cooked for 2 days straight, bought new sheets for the guest bedroom. Her mother's name was Mali. She was 58, small, didn't speak any English. She smiled a lot but watched me with these careful eyes, like she was assessing me. Through Sasi translating, we had basic conversations. She thanked me for taking care of her daughter. She thanked me for helping the family. She said I was a good man. On the 3rd day of her visit, the 3 of us were having dinner when Mei said something in Thai to Sasi. A long sentence, serious tone. Sasi's face changed just for a second, this flash of discomfort before she smiled and responded. "What did she say?" I asked. "Oh, she just asking about our plans," Sasi said. "Like for future." "What kind of plans?" "Like marriage, children, mother questions." My heart jumped. We'd never talked about marriage seriously. "What did you tell her?" "I tell her we are happy now. We don't need to rush." But Mei was looking at me, waiting for me to say something. Sasi translated, "She wants to know if you will marry me." I felt trapped. If I said no, I'd look like I wasn't serious about Sasi. If I said yes, I'd be committing to something I hadn't fully thought through. "Maybe someday," I said. "When the time is right," Sasi translated. Mali nodded slowly, but she didn't look satisfied. That night, after Mali had gone to bed, Sasi was quiet. We were sitting on the couch, watching TV with Thai subtitles I couldn't read. "Are you okay?" I asked. "My mother thinks you don't want to marry me," she said. "That's not true. We've only been together for a few months in person. I want to be sure." "Sure of what?" She looked at me. "You don't trust me?" "It's not about trust. It's about being practical. Practical." She repeated the word like it tasted bad. "Canadian men very practical, not romantic. That's not fair," I said. She stood up. "I'm going to bed." The next morning, she was fine. Smiling, making breakfast, kissing me on the cheek like nothing had happened. But something had shifted. I could feel it. Mei stayed for a week. Every day, there were these conversations in Thai that Sasi wouldn't fully translate, looks between them that I couldn't read. When Mei finally left, taking the bus back to Udon Thani, I felt relieved. "Your mother is nice," I said to Sasi as we watched the taxi drive away. "She likes you," Sasi said. "But she worries." "About what?" "That you will leave me, go back to Canada." "I'm not going back to Canada," I said. "Then marry me." It came out so suddenly. We were standing in our living room, midday sun streaming through the windows. "Sasi, I'm serious. We live together. We have home together. Why not marry?" "Because we've only been together in person for 5 months." "So?" "My cousin married her Farang boyfriend after 3 months. They very happy." I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to say yes. Part of me was terrified. "Let me think about it," I said. She nodded. But I could see I'd disappointed her. That's when the financial requests started getting bigger. A week after her mother left, Sasi told me her brother had crashed his motorbike. He needed surgery on his leg. The hospital bill was 80,000 baht, about $3,200 Canadian. "I can help with some of it," I said. "How much do you have saved?" "Maybe 20,000, she said. I transferred her $2,500 Canadian. It hurt. That was almost a month of my pension, but it was an emergency. Her brother needed help. 3 weeks later, her mother's house needed a new roof. The old one was leaking. The quote was 150,000 baht, $6,000 Canadian. That's a lot, I said. I know, Sasi said. She looked upset. My mother tried to save money for it, but she can't. Rain season coming soon. If we don't fix, house will flood. I did the math. I had about $210,000 Canadian left in savings after buying the condo. $6,000 would leave me with $204,000. Still substantial. Okay, I said. But this has to be the last big expense for a while. Thank you so much, Sasi said, hugging me. My family loves you. They say you are like father. I transferred the money. Then in June, her friend wanted to open a small coffee shop. She needed investors. If Sasi could invest 100,000 baht, $4,000 Canadian, she'd own 20% of the business. It's good opportunity, Sasi said. I can make money, help with condo expenses. You don't need to help with expenses, I said. My pension covers everything. I know, but I want to. I don't want to just take from you. I appreciated that. I really did. So I gave her the $4,000. The coffee shop never opened. The friend, someone I never met, apparently took the investment money and disappeared. Sasi was devastated. She cried for hours. I'm so sorry, she kept saying. I should have been more careful. It's okay, I told her, holding her. It's not your fault. But I'd now given away $12,500 Canadian in less than 3 months. I was starting to feel it. In July, Sasi brought up marriage again. We were at a restaurant in Thong Lo. She'd been drinking wine, which she didn't usually do. I want to have baby, she said. I nearly choked on my pad thai. What? I'm 26. I want to have baby before I'm too old. Sasi, I'm 60. I have a daughter who's 35. So, you can have another baby. My friend's Farang husband is 65. They just have baby girl. I don't want more children, I said. Her face fell. Why not? Because I'm too old. Because I've already raised a child. Because I didn't know how to say this gently. Because we're not even married. That's why I want to marry, she said. So we can have baby. This wasn't how I'd imagined this conversation going. I thought I'd propose someday, romantically, not have it presented as a prerequisite for childbearing. I need time, I said. She stood up. You always need time. Time to think, time to decide, time to be practical. She said that word again with contempt. Maybe you don't really love me. Of course I love you. Then prove it. Marry me. I felt cornered, manipulated, but also guilty. Was I being unfair? Was I stringing her along? Let's talk about this at home, I said. We didn't talk about it at home. We fought about it. The first real fight we'd had. She accused me of using her, of not taking her seriously, of treating her like a girlfriend instead of a partner. I accused her of rushing me, of pressuring me, of making marriage about money and family instead of love. It ended with her crying in the bedroom and me sleeping on the couch. The next morning she apologized. I apologized. We had sex. Everything seemed fine again, but it wasn't fine. Something had broken. Over the next few months, I noticed changes in Sasi. She was less affectionate. She spent more time on her phone. She started going out with friends without inviting me. When I asked where she'd been, she'd say, just out or with friends without details. She also started talking about money more openly. The condo fees needed to be paid. Groceries were expensive. Her phone bill was high. She never directly asked me for money, but she'd mention these things with this expectant look, and I'd end up giving her 10,000 baht, 15,000 baht, whatever she seemed to need. I was spending about $4,500 a month, now way more than my pension. I was dipping into savings every month. In November 2022, almost a year after we'd bought the condo, I sat down with my bank statements and actually calculated what I'd spent. The condo, $200,000. Her brother's surgery, $2,500. Her mother's roof, $6,000. The coffee shop investment, $4,000. Monthly allowances and gifts, approximately $1,500 divided by month times 10 months equals $15,000. Total, $227,500. I had $192,500 left in savings. In 1 year, I'd spent more than half of what I'd had when I arrived in Thailand. I felt sick looking at those numbers. That night, I tried to talk to Sasi about money. I explained that we needed to be more careful with spending, that my savings weren't infinite. She got defensive immediately. I never ask you for money. You always offer. I know, but you think I'm using you for money? No, I just think we need to budget better. This is my home too, she said. I should be able to ask you for help when I need it. You can ask, but I can't say yes every time. She went quiet. Then, my friend was right about you. What friend? My friend who knows other Farang relationships. She said Farang men are generous at first, then they become cheap. They promise everything, then they count every baht. That's not what I'm doing, I said. It is exactly what you're doing, she said. She grabbed her purse. I'm going to stay at my friend's house tonight. I need to think. She left. She came back 2 days later. We didn't talk about it. We just moved on. But the warmth was gone. We lived in the same condo like roommates who had sex occasionally. In December, I flew back to Canada for Christmas. I needed to see my daughter, and honestly, I needed space from Sasi. Edmonton felt different, smaller, colder. My daughter asked how Thailand was, and I told her it was great. I didn't mention the money. I didn't mention the fights. I showed her photos of the condo, of Sasi, of Bangkok. She's really pretty, my daughter said carefully. She is. How old is she again? 26. My daughter didn't say anything, but I could see her doing the math. Sasi was 7 years younger than her. Dad, she finally said, are you happy? I wanted to say yes. I wanted to believe it. I think so, I said. I flew back to Bangkok on January 3rd, 2023. Sasi picked me up from the airport. She seemed happy to see me, which was a relief. We had sex that night for the first time in weeks. The next morning, I was making coffee when my phone rang. Unknown number, Thai number. Hello, is this Mr. Richard? A woman's voice, speaking English with a Thai accent. Yes? This is Capricorn Bank, loan department. I'm calling about the property loan for condo unit 18C, Ekkamai residence. My stomach dropped. I'm sorry, what? The mortgage payment is overdue by 45 days. We need to arrange payment or we will begin foreclosure proceedings. There's no mortgage on that condo, I said. I bought it cash. There was a pause. Sir, our records show a mortgage of 2.4 million baht was taken against this property in September 2022. The borrower is listed as Miss Sasi Sumali. The room started spinning. That's impossible, I said. The condo is in my name. Yes, sir. The title is in your name. But Miss Sumali has power of attorney for the property. She used this to secure the loan. Power of attorney. I'd signed something. Back when we bought the condo, the lawyer had a stack of documents, transfer papers, tax forms, building registration. I'd signed everything. Sasi had translated some of it. The lawyer spoke some English, but not great. I'd trusted them. I'd signed power of attorney without realizing what it meant. How much is owed? I asked. My voice sounded far away. The original loan was 2.4 million baht. With interest and late fees, the current balance is 2.7 million baht. That's approximately $108,000 Canadian. I sat down. I couldn't breathe properly. I need to call you back, I said, and hung up. Sasi was in the shower. I could hear the water running. I sat there on the couch, trying to process what I'd just learned. She'd taken out a $96,000 loan against my condo, without telling me, and she'd missed payments. When she came out of the bathroom, wrapped in a towel, humming a Thai song, I was still sitting there. Good morning, she said brightly. Then she saw my face. What's wrong? I just got a call from Capricorn Bank. Her face changed. Just for a second, panic, caught before she composed herself. What did they say? she asked carefully. They said you took out a mortgage on my condo, $96,000. And you haven't been making payments. She sat down on the bed. She didn't deny it. I can explain, she said. Please do. My mother was very sick. In September, she needed surgery. Real surgery, not just my brother. I didn't want to ask you for money because you were already stressed about spending. So you took out a mortgage on my condo without telling me? I was going to pay it back before you found out. I was going to make the payments from my online work. Your online work pays you what, 15,000 baht a month? The loan payments must be 20,000 baht or more. I know. I made a mistake. But I was desperate. I stood up. I was shaking. Where did the money go? I told you. My mother's surgery. All $96,000 went to your mother's surgery. She looked away. Most of it. How much is most? Maybe 800,000 baht. And the rest? I had debts. From before we met. From when I was working at the bar. I borrowed money from loan sharks. And they were threatening me. This was new information. She'd never mentioned debts. Never mentioned loan sharks. So you used my condo, my home, as collateral to pay off your personal debts. Our home, she corrected. And I was going to fix it. I was going to pay it back. With what money? You have no money. I was trying. She was crying now. You don't understand. In Thailand, family comes first. My mother was dying. What was I supposed to do? You were supposed to tell me. I was shouting now. I never shout. You were supposed to tell me the truth instead of lying. I didn't lie. You took out a mortgage without telling me. That's lying. She stood up, angry now. You think you're so smart because you're Farang. You think you understand Thailand. But you don't. You don't understand how family works here. You don't understand how hard it is to be Thai woman with poor family. You just come here with your money and your pension and you think you can buy a life, buy a girlfriend, buy happiness. But you can't buy me. I never tried to buy you. Yes, you did. From the beginning. You gave me money. You bought this condo. You helped my family. That's all buying. And now you're mad that I used what was available to help people I love. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. Get out, I said quietly. What? Get out of my condo. Now, she stared at me. This is my home too. You have no legal claim to this condo. It's in my name. And you just admitted you committed fraud against me. So get the fuck out before I call the police. I'd never spoken to her like that. Never used that tone. She looked genuinely shocked. Then her expression hardened. Fine. I'll go. But you'll be sorry. You'll be alone here with your money, and you'll realize that's all you have. She grabbed some clothes, threw them in a bag, and left. I sat in the empty condo and cried for the first time since my divorce. The next week was a nightmare. I went to the bank with the loan documents. They confirmed everything. Sasi had used the power of attorney to take out a 2.4 million baht loan against my condo in September. She'd made 2 payments, then stopped. I consulted a lawyer, a different lawyer this time, one that Graham recommended, an older American guy named Bill who'd been in Thailand for 20 years. You're fucked, he said bluntly. The power of attorney is legitimate. The loan is legitimate. She had legal authority to mortgage the property, but I didn't know. Doesn't matter. You gave her power of attorney. I didn't know what I was signing. Also doesn't matter. You signed it. I felt sick. So what are my options? Pay off the loan or lose the condo. Those are your options. I can't pay off $108,000. I don't have it. Then the bank will foreclose. They'll auction the condo. You might get something back after they deduct the loan amount, but probably not much. This can't be legal. It is legal. It's shitty, but it's legal. Welcome to Thailand. I spent the next 3 days trying to figure out what to do. I could take money from my Canadian savings. I had about $192,000 left. But if I paid off the loan, I'd have less than $90,000 remaining. That wasn't enough to live on in retirement. I could try to sell the condo myself, quickly, before the bank foreclosed. But the market was slow. Bill said it could take 6 months to find a buyer. I could just walk away. Let the bank take the condo. Fly back to Canada. Cut my losses. On the fourth day, Sasi called me. I'm sorry, she said. She was crying. I made terrible mistake. Please forgive me. I can't forgive this, I said. Please. I love you. I was desperate. I wasn't thinking clearly. Where are you? At my friend's house. Is your mother even sick? There was a pause. Too long. She was sick, Sasi said finally. She had surgery, but it didn't cost as much as I said. How much did it cost? Maybe 300,000 baht. So she'd lied about that too. The surgery cost $12,000 Canadian, not $32,000. She'd taken out a $96,000 loan and used $12,000 for her mother. The other $84,000 had gone. Where did the rest of the money go? I asked. I told you. Debts. What kind of debts? She was quiet. Sasi. What kind of debts? From my ex-boyfriend, she said quietly. I owed money to his family. They were threatening to hurt me if I didn't pay. This was the first I'd heard of an ex-boyfriend, or his family, or threats. How much did you owe them? 1 million baht, $40,000 Canadian. She'd owed her ex-boyfriend's family $40,000. And the rest? I bought a car. You what? For my brother. He needed it for work. With my money? From a mortgage on my condo? I was going to tell you. I was going to explain everything. I hung up. She called back 17 times. I didn't answer. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, our bed, and stared at the ceiling fan. It had been making a clicking noise for months. I'd never fixed it. I kept thinking about everything. Every conversation, every red flag, every moment I'd ignored my instincts. Graham had warned me. The bank manager had given me that look. My daughter had asked if I was happy. I'd wanted to believe so badly that I could have this life. That a beautiful 6-year-old woman could love a 60-year-old retired teacher from Edmonton. That I could escape my boring, cold, lonely life and find paradise in Bangkok. I'd wanted it so much that I'd convinced myself it was real, but it wasn't real. It never was. I was just a pension. A source of money, a foreign ATM. The next morning, I made a decision. I called Bill the lawyer. I want to sell the condo, I said, as fast as possible. It's going to take time, he said. I don't care. Find a buyer. I'll take whatever I can get. He found a buyer in 3 weeks. An expat couple from Singapore. They offered 5.2 million baht for a condo I'd paid 5.8 million for. I'd take a $24,000 loss, but after paying off the bank loan, I'd walk away with about $90,000 Canadian. I signed the papers on March 15th, 2023. Sasi found out I was selling through mutual friends. She showed up at the condo while I was packing. You're really leaving? She said. She looked terrible, thinner, tired. Yes. Where will you go? Back to Canada. What about us? I looked at her. This woman I'd loved. This woman I'd built a life with. This woman who'd stolen from me. There is no us, I said. Please, we can fix this. I can get a job. I can pay you back. It's not about the money anymore. Then what is it about? Trust, I said. You destroyed it. And without trust, there's nothing. She started crying. I really did love you. I still love you. Maybe that was even true. Maybe she did love me, in her way. Maybe she loved me and still stole from me. Maybe both things can be true. But it didn't matter anymore. I need you to leave, I said. She left. I finished packing. I didn't have much. Most of the furniture came with the condo. I had my clothes, my books, my laptop. Everything else I left behind. I flew back to Canada on March 28th, 2023, 15 months after I'd arrived in Thailand with dreams of paradise. I'm back in Edmonton now. I'm renting a small apartment in the same neighborhood I lived in before. I got a part-time job at a bookstore because I need the money and because I need something to do. I have $92,000 in savings. My pension is $3,200 a month. At 62, starting from basically zero. I've done the math. If I'm very careful, If I never get seriously sick, if nothing unexpected happens, I can survive on this until I die. I'll never retire to a beach. I'll never own property again. I'll never travel. I'll work at the bookstore and live in my small apartment and watch winter happen every year until I don't wake up one morning. People ask me about Thailand sometimes. My coworkers, my daughter, old friends. I tell them it was nice. I tell them it didn't work out. I don't tell them about Sasi. I don't tell them about the condo. I don't tell them that I lost $286,000 chasing a fantasy. My daughter knows some of it, not all of it. She doesn't say, "I told you so." She just hugs me and tells me she's glad I'm home. I'm not glad, but I'm here. I still think about Sasi sometimes. I wonder if she ever thinks about me. I wonder if she tells her new boyfriend, because I'm sure there's a new boyfriend, about the Canadian teacher who bought her a condo. I wonder if she laughs about it. I've learned some things. Hard lessons. Expensive lessons. I learned that the rules aren't different in Thailand. People are people everywhere. Some are honest, some aren't. Some will love you, some will use you. I learned that age gaps matter, not always, but usually. When someone in their 20s wants to be with someone in their 60s, there's usually a reason, and that reason is usually money. I learned that loneliness makes you stupid. It makes you ignore red flags. It makes you believe things you know aren't true because the truth is too painful. I learned that love and money can't be separated when there's a massive economic disparity between partners. I wanted to believe we were just two people who loved each other. But Sasi couldn't afford that fantasy. She had a sick mother, a struggling brother, debts from her past. My money wasn't separate from our relationship. It was our relationship. I learned that I'm not special. I thought I was different from all those other old guys who get scammed in Thailand. I thought I was smarter, more careful, more culturally aware, but I wasn't. I was exactly like them. I just didn't want to admit it. If you're reading this and you're thinking about doing what I did, retiring to Thailand, buying property with a younger Thai partner, building a life there, please learn from my mistake. I'm not saying don't go to Thailand. I'm not saying don't date Thai women. I'm saying be smart, be careful, protect yourself. Don't buy property in the first year. Don't give power of attorney. Don't combine finances. Don't ignore warnings from friends. Don't let loneliness override common sense. And if you do ignore all of this advice, if you do decide that your situation is different, that your partner is different, that you know better, at least keep enough money in Canada that when it all falls apart, you have something to come back to. Because it probably will fall apart, and you'll need something to fall back on. I didn't keep enough. And now I'm 62 years old, working retail, living in a one-bedroom apartment, watching my savings slowly disappear. I bought a condominium in Thailand. It crushed my financial plan. It crushed my retirement. It crushed me. And the worst part? I let it happen. Every step of the way, I made the choices that led me here. I can't blame Sasi entirely. She did what she did, yes, but I enabled it. I ignored the signs. I chose the fantasy over reality. That's on me. I tell myself I'll recover from this, that I'll rebuild, that I still have 20 or 30 years left, and that's enough time to create something new. But I don't believe it. I think this is it. This is my life now. This is what's left, and I have no one to blame but myself.